All right, how's it going, guys? So I'm going to be recording a ToA video for my clanmates. Um, just a quick one. I mean, it might not be quick because I'm going to be explaining every room and whatnot. So I forgot to change my spell book too. So one, you're either going to want to be on Ancient or Arceus spell book. I'm going to be on Arceus for Thralls, but if you're new to ToA, I would recommend being on Ancients for freezes. Okay? So that's one of the first basic things, and I'll explain why in a little bit. The first thing I'm going to explain is important invocations, progression, and then just doing each room basically. So, alright, so I got my thralls, I got my book. Um, I'm going to finish gearing up in a bit. I'm going to go look at the invocation screen and then go from there. Okay. All right, so in order to start TOA after you've done the quest and whatnot, in order to run a raid, you need to either make a party or join someone's party. So if you wanted to join someone's party, I would press view party and then apply, and then I could join their party and see what invocations they're running. All right, if you're just starting out solo and you're just learning, you're gonna go to make a party. You're gonna go to invocations, and then I have this nice little 300. This is extremely comfortable for me. Okay, so we're gonna clear all. And it's important to know what a lot of these, well, it's important to know what all of them do. However, for learning purposes, we're just going to get a good like 300. I mean, we're just going to get a good 150. All right? So the first thing I want to do, let me see. This is hard for me because I've been doing like crazy, not crazy. I've just been doing like comfortable 300, 350s for a long time. All right, the first one we're going to do is feeling special. A lot of people don't like this one, but it's better to learn it early because it's so free. Okay? It's super free. All right. So we got feeling special, shaking things up, jungle japes, gotta have faith, and mind the gap. All of these are free, and I'll explain what each of these are. I'll explain what they are for the most part because like I don't even give a shit about gotta have faith, jungle japes, and shaking things up because like you just kind of get used to it so fast. The only one that's really important here is mind the gap, is because when you're in the Baba room, after you get Baba to under a certain percentage of health, Baba will jump to the top, kick everyone back, and there's a gap. If you get hit in the gap, you die. So that's what mind the gap is. I would say learning to play with this on makes things easier because you never have to worry if it's on or off because you're just going to react accordingly. Okay? Um for Zebak, I'm just trying to get to 150. For Zebak, I would do not just a head, an arterial spray, and blood thinners. Very free invocation. All right, so this is just his blood magic. This is his blood magic radius is higher, and this is his blood magic spawns like three little red pools, and they follow you until they disappear. And if they hit you, they'll do damage to you and heal Zebak. Sometimes his blood magic will hit you when you're praying range, and it'll heal him, and it's unavoidable. So when he does his blood magic attack, it will, if you're praying mage, it does nothing. If you are praying range, it will hurt you and heal him. With arterial spray on, if you're praying range and you're within a few tiles of another player, it'll hurt both of you and heal him for that amount. So just some really, really free stuff in my opinion. All right, now for Kefri. We're gonna do blowing mud and lively larvae and maybe aerial assault. Blowing mud is so free, so free. It's literally I don't even know what Kefri looks like without blowing mud. It's literally just extra dung, and I'll explain what that means. Lively larvae just means there's more eggs you got to take care of. So a little tedious, but it gives you more points and it's free points. All right, anything that's free points is very helpful. If it's your first time, I would say put on a diet because like I mean food is food. Hold on a second. So you can use stuff like brews and restores. So I'm gonna put on a diet because I'm trying to get to the easiest 150. All right. Um, we'll probably put on some ward and stuff because the problem is if you're learning ToA, like stuff like this will just make it longer and harder, and that's not the goal of this. The goal for me is to get you like an easy 150 that you get used to, so you understand what the rooms and bosses are like. Sorry, I get distracted very easy. Anyways, my goal is for you guys to learn like how to do TOA first, then you'll be able to push these invocations, like push more things. So, and all of this stuff is very 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 basic, and the rate this is really easy so far. So that's like the goal. And learning this stuff makes it easier to learn. Like I think the hardest things here are feeling special, mind the gap, maybe blood thinners, but that's about it. Everything else is just so normal. All right, so let's talk about some of these. I can explain what ancient haste is while we're in there, but just telling you right now, it wouldn't make sense. Acceleration makes wardens attack quicker and the obelisks charge at a faster rate. Penetration just means if you don't pray correctly, it's going to hurt. Overclocked and overclocked 2 just means the warden will attack faster in the final phase. So I'm going to turn these on just because if I don't, it's going to be so slow for me. And that's something I can't deal with. All right, so we just need 15 more points. So we're gonna go over 150 a little bit. Um, I will. This is during second phase. Brings me to 145. All right, we'll put on try again. All right, so you have 10 lives, and then we'll do ancient haste. All right, so this is a pretty good easy 150. Um, so their health is 60%. Prayer effectiveness is 100% for the most part. Um, I max out Baba modifiers because Baba's so easy, so free. Warden's easy. The hardest room here is going to be Akka, and Akka only has one modifier. Okay. All right. So this is what we're running. All right. So try again. You have 10 lives. If you get to 9, just leave the raid. If you get to 9, just leave the raid. All right, on a diet, so you can't bring food in there, but you'll be able to use brews, and there's stuff in the raid that'll heal you up. Um, lively larvae and blowing mud, super easy. All these super easy. So I'll explain what everything is while we're doing it. Okay. So I'm already 8 9 minutes in. I know it's already starting out a little long, but I'm just explaining like what we're starting out with. So if you want to skip to this, if you want to skip through, that's fine. So I'm gonna show you what I bring, and then you can adjust accordingly. I'll probably put some screenshots up on the screen. Um, eh, when you're learning, I would bring minimal switches. All right. So what that means, I'll show you in just a second. What that means is, well, I don't even bring range home anymore. I would bring stuff like Barrow's gloves, and then one set of boots. If you want to bring a good hybrid pair of excuse me, Arania boots are a good option. Um, if you have better melee gear, I would bring melee boots like Prims, and if you have better mage gear, I would bring They're not called Eternals. I don't even remember what they're called anymore. I would bring the mage boots. I can't remember. I'm sorry. My brain fart, brain fart. All right, so that's kind of how I would set that up. I do not need twisted bow here. Um, I'll explain why my range is so weak and why everything else is so strong. So if you are gonna range Zebak, you should bring a BGS. I have Shadow, so I don't need to BGS, but I'm gonna bring Void Waker and DDS and then Karis Partisan. Okay, and I can explain that in just a few minutes. All right, so I'm gonna put my specials down here. For right now, I'm gonna get my inventory straight, and then we shall go from there. All right, so I'm not bringing a helm for my range slot, so I'm gonna move that over, probably like this. All right, so helm over here. Yeah, okay, good. And then we'll put book like, let me see what this looks like. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay. So we're actually going to go in looking like this. And I'll explain why in just a moment. Okay. So, let's see. Let me think. All right. Depending on what items you have is why these are my special weapons. All right. Void Waker hits really hard for all bosses except for Akka and Wardens. Although I think you can use it in some of the Warden phases. I just don't. All right. Light Bearer is king. I bring Max Mage, so that is why I don't have the Light Bearer equipped at the moment, but also why I bring the Magus Ring. So Mage is king for me in this raid because I have the best Mage gear and Shadow hits the best in this raid. Okay, so the reason I bring such weak range is because you don't end up using range that much unless you don't have a Shadow or an Iac. Then range would be king. It really just depends on what items you bring. I don't need Twisted Bow because range isn't my main damage dealer. So if you've done Cox, if you're an iron or whatever, and you have a twisted bow but you don't have a shadow, or let's say you bought a twisted bow and you don't have a shadow, then you're gonna want to bring your twisted bow. All right, you're still gonna need blowpipe though. You're gonna need blowpipe, just about for every raid. I will say crossbow is really good if you don't have blowpipe for Baba's boulders. And then I'll also say that if you have Zerite crossbow, that's really good. I don't I could buy one, but I don't really need it right now unless I was pushing like 400 plus. All right. So for you, bring the less switches you bring, the less stressful it is. So if you can afford Lightbearer, I would do Lightbearer as your ring for the entire raid. I would do Barrow's gloves for the entire raid, so that's one less switch you've got to worry about. And then if you don't have Avernic treads because you're not a max main or you're not, you haven't done Doom yet, then I would bring whatever your strongest is. So if you're doing range, if range is your strongest, I would bring your range boots. If melee is your strongest, melee boots, and then if mage is strongest, mage boots. All right, or you can bring a tri-bit setup like Irania boots, or you can bring Echo boots, but I wouldn't really recommend bringing Echo boots. If you don't have a light bearer, Ring of Suffering is a good alternative. If you don't have BGS but you have Dragon Warhammer is good in some rooms. Okay, I think I've covered mostly everything. Serp Helm is good if you don't, if you're an iron and you don't want to make antidotes. All right, so I'm gonna be using this chugging barrel to pot up. I also bring a 2 dose of super combat with me for the raid, and then I'll show you my inventory after we. I'll show you like what I'm gonna bring to the raid after I pot up. So give me just a second. I'm having a brain fart. All right, no, never mind. I'm good. I'm good. All right, so I need 2 of these. I have to sneeze. So, all right, we're good. So I'm gonna pot up, but just give me a second to think because you need like specific stuff. All right, good, good, good. All right, I think I'm good. Yeah, I've got everything that I want for this raid. If you don't have tri-brid boots like Iranian boots, you can always bring devout boots. But your boots matter, but they're not that important. It's just a matter of like you don't want to be changing, right? You want the most minimum changes. I would start out with like four of each, all right, while you're learning the raid. Remember, this is a learner, and I'm already putting you at 150, so you can get some decent drops. All right, I'm putting you at 150 so you can get some decent drops. And um, wait, why can't I see the drops? Oh, here we. Oh wait, just kidding. Oh, here. Sorry. So, all right, so you can get everything. All right, it's a really low chance to get this stuff, but you know. Anyways, back to. All right, let's get started. Sorry, getting distracted. Let's get started. So I'm gonna drink my chugging barrel. So I'm pre-potting a super combat set and a range set. Um, you don't really need the range set. Oh, I should have ate this lobster first. I'm an idiot. It's fine. You don't really need the range set. I just do it anyways, because why not? So I bring 2 brews and 5 restores and a sand few to like 90% of my raids, and then this divine super combat up here. Okay. All right. So the first room we're gonna do is Zebak, and this isn't timed, so I'm going to be explaining everything. All right. So solo puzzle Zebak room is different than when you have more people. So I'm gonna explain, and then I'll just do it. All right. So your goal is you are going to drop. I usually drop my super combat. You're going to pick up this water container, and there are 4 waterfalls around the room. For solos, you just need to fill up twice into this palm tree. So what we're going to do is you're going to start here. As soon as your character's tile is there, you're going to click on this waterfall. Then you are going to, as soon as you fill up this waterfall, you're immediately going to click this. And then after your character fills that, you're going to go here and you're going to come back and do the same thing. When you are in more than one person, all right, so duos, you're going to have to do more than just 2. So what usually ends up happening is person 1 will go here and person 2 will start here. You'll both fill up, and then someone's going to have to kill the crocodiles and then fill up. I think it's 2 more. So you'll have to talk to your duo about who's killing the crocs and who's filling up. All right. In solo, you can do it in 36 to 38 seconds, and the crocodile won't touch the tree. If the crocodile does touch the tree after your first one, then you're going to end up doing a 3rd waterfall, which isn't good. All right. So when you have more than one person, after you both fill up the after you both go to the first waterfall, crocodiles will spawn. They spawn on like a timer, maybe like 30 seconds. So that's why it's really good to bring freezes for this part. Okay, that's what the freezes are for. So you can freeze the crocodiles, kill them, and they don't touch this. In solos, you don't need to worry about that because it's not going to happen. All right. So hopefully I explained it good enough. So I will now actually just demonstrate it. All right. So I'm going to get hit by that poison, which sucks. Oh wait, no, I didn't. Let's go. Alright, so as soon as you hear that sound, you need to click this waterfall, and then as soon as I hear this one, we're going to the next one, and we're not worrying about a thing. It is quicker if you do it like this, but it'll be fine. Alright, so we're going. We're not getting hit by any of this because we're pros. Crocodile's going to get close, but he's not going to touch it. And boom, we're done. Alright? Pretty simple for solos. It's a little similar in Duo Plus, but you're going to have to freeze the crocodiles or just kill them. Alright, so the reason I'm in melee gear, even though I'm going to mage this mage Zebak, is because I'm going to use my spec on him. Alright, so if you're BGSing, you will also BGS or Warhammer, you will also Alright? I should have probably explained more about Zebak before coming in here, but alas, I'll have to explain while he's attacking. Alright, so his attacks have specific sounds. So whatever sound comes out is how I know what attack he's doing. And then you see that blood that just rose up, that's what blood magic is. Since I was already praying, then I was fine. I kind of want to die and redo this, but then I kind of don't. Let me think real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna die.
Dying on the hardcore
So
action.
it's so hard explaining what I already know. I'm gonna reset real quick, but I'm gonna explain what Baba is. Just give me a second. Because it's just hard to explain when you're in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do a quick Zebak. Did I make party? It would just be easier. Just give me a sec. Dame segundo. Oh man, I didn't even whatchamacallit. Sorry. I might edit this out, I might not. We'll see. Yeah, I need heart. I'm actually gonna bring heart with me. Low key. Yeah, I got heart and a combat set, so I should be fine. Anyways, I always start with Zebak. Until you push 400, you're always gonna start with Zebak. Zebak's room just gets a lot harder when the raid levels increase. So that's why I start with Zebak every time. But if you didn't know, these green clouds are poison clouds. So if you run into them, they'll take your health and it'll reduce your defense and your other stats. Sometimes you can dodge them, but sometimes it's not worth it. Like there, I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing to dodge it. And this one might catch me and might ruin this. Okay, it didn't catch me, thank God. Let's go. Alright, pretty simple, pretty easy, right? Alright, let's redo this. So I'm gonna explain Zebak's stuff before doing Zebak. Okay? See, oh yeah, it doesn't drain everything, but see how if you look up here, my defense is lower and then my agility is lower, but your agility doesn't matter. All right, let me explain everything about Zebak before we run in here. Okay, so Zebak has two main attacks. So he's gonna attack with mage and range, and he can also attack with melee if you get too close to him, which is why I pray melee when I go up to use my Void Waker on him. All right, and that's why I brought my heart in here just in case I run out of time talking about everything that goes on in this room. So, you have a couple of things that are going to be going on. If you don't want to use sounds, but I highly recommend you use sounds. Um when he shoots out a shell, it makes a different sound than when he shoots out a rock. So if you see red shell, you're praying mage. If you see rock, you're praying range. Okay? When you see like red blood, basically red colors, like highlight around Zebak, that's his blood magic. That means one of two things. One, he's gonna hit you with blood magic, or two, he's gonna spawn the 3 red orbs. All right, if he hits you with the blood magic, it'll give you a sound cue that you've been hit. It'll hit a 0 if you're praying mage. Okay. When you get to his final phase, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need to let the blood magic hit you, because if his range attack hits you, it does way more damage than the blood magic. Just make sure you're standing away from someone else. Okay, during that last final enrage phase. Alright, so depending on how much damage you can do, he has, you're probably going to see 4 what I call waves. Alright, so the first wave spawns on, I think, this side, and it goes this way. Alright, so depending on the damage you do, he's either going to spawn acid pools with just shells. That means a wave is coming. Alright, and the wave is going to go across the room, and you need to fit into the gaps while attacking Zebak at the same time. You don't have to attack him, but in order to save your super and your heart and your boosts or whatever, then you should be attacking him while standing in that cleared space. Alright, if you see shells and rocks, your goal is to push one of the shells on the rocks because the rocks are going to have acid around them, and you have to stand behind the rocks before he does like this yell attack that covers the entire ground except for where the rocks are. And I think the rocks are 3 tiles each, so if you stand 2 to 3 tiles behind a rock, you should be safe, but the goal is to stand on top of the rock. So you have to push a shell onto the rock, and you need to figure it out extremely quickly because I think he does 3 or 4 attacks, and then he's gonna get into um his ground attack, or it's his yell attack, but it affects the ground. But anyways, all right. So that's what's gonna happen when you see him spit something out. It's either gonna be shells and acid only, and then you'll get the wave from one of the sides. I think it's this side first, and then this side second. Sometimes he'll give you just acid and rocks and shells, and then you need to push the shells onto the rocks. Alright? After he does 2 of each, if you haven't reached the damage threshold, he should go into his enrage phase after a certain amount of health. And during the enrage phase, he's going to attack faster, but there shouldn't be any more rocks or wave phases. All right. I think I've covered just about everything, so now you're just going to see me do it. Hopefully, I didn't forget anything. And while this is a lot to remember, it is not that bad. You just have to pay attention, use sound cues, and it should be fine. All right. So we're starting with melee gear because I'm going to go up to him and Void Waker him. If you are using magic like a shadow or an Iac, you should bring a I think it's one of the scepters that reduces mage defense, or you can bring a circle. If you're using range, so ToA is actually really good here. If you don't have shadow, so if you are using range, then you should either BGS or Warhammer him, so your range attacks do more damage. All right. So I'm going to actually pot up again just because I spent time explaining what this room is before doing it, because it's so hard to explain while in the middle of it. Alright, so we're going to go in there, and we're going to get it done. Okay? So this is how I start. I'm going to summon my Thrall. I'm going to Void Waker him. I know the mage is coming out based off of the sound. Alright, I'm going to drop this, and then I'm going to mage him. Now, I stand on this side of the room because acid spawns less over here, and usually the puzzle sounds easier. Alright, that sound told me that he is using range, and then no rocks means I'm dodging this wave. So I'm going to look for the gap. Alright, gap's here. Cool. Very simple. Alright, gap's here. Very simple. I heard the mage sound, so I'm changing range. And I'm already standing in the next gap. Alright, so there's only 3 of these. The higher level this is, you see how it says 0? The higher level it is, the less space there is. Alright? So you're not going to see that many phases because I am destroying him because this is super easy. Alright, so this rock lines up here. I'm going to push it. Alright, that's clear. Now I'm going to go stand over here. Now you can push, pull, and hit jugs. Sometimes you need to pull it. Sometimes you need to push it and hit it because it's not going to work. That's going to just be trial and error and practice. Alright, I'm going to summon another frog. He's almost dead. Now he's in rage phasing. So you might not even see all the mechanics. There's blood magic. Alright, blood magic hit me. I'm switching the range. So while I am doing a shit ton of damage, this is Zebak in a nutshell. It's just longer when invocations are higher. Okay? And if you have any questions about each room, please ask me. All right, so these are the things that chase you. If you actually run in in like a square pattern, they're not gonna get you. So just something to note for if it lasts longer. All right, so I'm gonna pick up my divine and I'm gonna go to Kefri. All right, on to Kefri. So Kefri's right here, Path of Scabaras, and then Zebak is Path of Krondus. And I know this is getting long, but I'm also explaining. All right, so puzzle room. If you're solo, try to avoid the obelisk because it is the worst one. But basically, you have to figure out the order that these light up. The ToA plugin makes this a lot easier. All right, but I'm going to start on the left side. Now, let me explain how this works when you're solo versus when you are grouped plus. All right, when you're solo, you're going to start on one of the sides, and then you're going to go to the opposite side, do that puzzle, go to the opposite side, and then you'll have to do the last puzzle by yourself on both sides. When you are with a duo, once you complete your side, their gate will open, and then once they complete their side, your gate will open. All right, pretty simple. Now, once you start this first barrier, there are little scarabs that'll spawn and hit you with range attacks. So if it's a trio, the third person not doing a puzzle can get them for free points and get them off of you. I don't really worry about them because these puzzles are super easy, especially with the ToA plugin. See, look at that. All right, so you just do these in order. Pretty simple. If you step on the wrong one or step on the one you're not supposed to, it will drop a rock on you, do damage. It's unavoidable, and you'll have to go click the button and restart. All right, see how mine didn't open up? So now we're going to go over here. All right, and the way that puzzle works is you stand on all the red ones to get all the red highlighted ones to light them up, and that's done. Okay, this one you're going to inspect the ancient tablet. It'll tell you where to stand. Boom, simple enough. All right, we've done 2 puzzles. Now it's time for the last one. Now for the last one, you need to coordinate with someone if you're in Duo Plus, and it's not that hard to coordinate. All right, so you're going to activate all of these over here, and unfortunately, you have to do them one at a time. All right, this is knives. I'm going to make a guess that the other knives is right here. I hope I'm right. I was wrong, so now we're going, there's knives. So now we're going to light all these up. All right, cool. So I'm going to run over here and click boot. I'm going to click diamond. All right, this is self-explanatory, so I don't think I need to talk about this too much. All right, and this video is going to be long because I want to explain all of the basic mechanics for how you should be running your 150s. All right. All right, before going into Kefri, I'll explain Kefri. Where do I start? All right. So Kefri has like 4 phases, but don't freak out. All right? Don't freak out. Kefri has 4 phases, but she really has like 3 shields and then a regular health bar, okay? So what happens is Kefri's going to shoot a giant kind of like Vorkath fireball in the air, and you're going to need to move to where it's not going to hit. And she does this in like a specific tick rotation. So that's how all of her attacks are. The only time she's not doing that is either when her shield goes down or she's doing a special. Okay? The first special every single time is going to be dung. All right, so what dung is it kind of creates like a line of dung where you're standing, and then it kind of, I mean, that's it. It creates a line of dung. So that's why you see like melee trap, dung stack. All right, I'll show you what melee trap is. So when the first dung happens, I'm gonna stand here at melee trap, and it's going to go right here. All right. Now, once you get her first shield down, okay, you're immediately gonna throw on prey range. And this is for solos. I'll talk about Duo Plus in a second. You're gonna immediately throw on prey ranged, and then you're going to attack the ranged scarab that always spawns right here. It can hit, excuse me, it can hit through prayer. Okay, it can hit through prayer, but you want to kill it as quickly as you can. Now, when you're in duos, one of you should be killing the range scarab, and the other one should be hitting the swarm spawns. The swarm spawns go and heal Kefri's shield. That's why blowpipe is important. And it hits a max no matter what. So if you literally equipped your quiver or Ava's device and your blowpipe and just blowpipe as many swarms as you can while the other person is killing the red scarab, that's less shield that Kefri will have when she spawns for phase two. Okay, so it's very important that one of you is doing one thing and one of you is doing the other. Once this red scarab is dead, then both of you should be hitting the swarms. Now, during all this chaos, there is a flying scarab that comes in and explodes on you. It's honestly really hard to see without one of the invocations turned on, and I don't have any of them turned on. Um, because instead of it being a 3 by 3, it's 1 by 1. Kefri's attack is, so you can't see that exploding swarm coming at your feet normally. So you just have to be mindful that after a few ticks, there's going to be a swarm coming at you and explodes on you, and it does a ton of damage. So you just need to be moving, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's happening. It's easier to see when you have the 3 by 3 on, and I'll show you what a 3 by 3 is probably in a different video. So I'll do this is like a learner, and then I'll show you what a 300 looks like, and it'll just be more mechanics and more health. But I promise it's not that hard. Okay, so there's that. Um, Kefri's other special that isn't dung is going to be eggs, and so she spawns eggs all over the room. Okay, and when she spawns eggs all over the room, you need to hit the bigger ones because when they explode, they spawn this miniature scarab that has like 35 health, I think, and it hits you with a range attack, and it's super just annoying. And then when you have this prayer invocation on, it gets really annoying because you lose prayer based off the damage you take. So that's why it's important for you to coordinate with your Duo Plus to kill the eggs as quickly as possible. They are one hit by most Karis partisans. They should be one hit with your melee weapon as long as you are potted up and pieties on. All right. Um, Side note: when you're killing the scarab, melee is best. This scarab. All right. After you get her second shield down, um, the two scarabs spawn. All right. One should be trapped here, and it's orange, and then the other one is blue over here. Priority is everyone should be killing this blue one over here. And after a certain amount of hits, the blue one's going to teleport over here, and then if you don't kill it over here, it's going to teleport right here. And during this time, you should be I think you should pray range if you didn't take care of all the eggs. Other than that, you don't need to pray anything. I would probably pray mage just in case you can't kill the mage scarab fast enough. Now, the mage scarab is most susceptible to melee and range, so that's what I would be using on it. Bofa works really good on it. But that if you don't kill it fast enough, it does an attack and it hits everyone like super high numbers, like 40 plus. Okay, while this is also happening, you have swarms again that are trying to heal Kefri's bubble. So after that mage one is down, there's going to be like certain priorities that you take. The way that I do it is after that mage one's down, I'm going to try to kill the swarms unless her shield is like basically full. If her shield's full, then I'm going to kill this melee scarab. The reason you need to kill the melee scarab, even though it's trapped, is because it can heal Kefri throughout the fight. So it's just so you need to range or mage it. I think maging it is better. Um, if you don't end up trapping it, you need to pray melee while you're killing the mage scarab because it'll follow you around and it will mess you up if you don't have protect from melee on. Okay. After those two are down and Kefri heals back up, it's her last shield phase. You get her shield down, and then she goes to her regular health bar. So like I said, she has 4 phases. There's not the only thing that's different is the amount of scarabs that spawn while she's healing. Also, every time her shield hits 0, she's going to hit you with a dung attack. So you need to be mindful where you're standing and what you're doing when that happens. Okay, every single time. So after the first, second, and third, you're gonna get knocked back. All right. Anytime you see a swarm of flies around you and you hear like a buzz sound, like a buzzing in your ear, that means a dung attack is coming and it's about to happen. So you need to get into an appropriate spot so that way you don't get trapped or you don't trap your teammates. All right, so there's a sound cue for that. A lot of this is sound and visual cues. All right, now that's a lot to remember. All right, I understand that, and I'm sorry. Hopefully, you can visualize it and it's not as difficult, but these are just things to think about while you're doing it. All right, so here we go. Do this. I'm gonna put this on, and I'm gonna do this. I'm only gonna use one here. Actually, just kidding. I'm gonna use 2. All right, so that's her stuff. So now we're just simple. All right, cool. Dung attack. I'm going to melee trap 1. All right, now I'm clicking over here. If you don't click fast enough, it'll push you and do a little bit of damage, like an 8 or something. All right. So what I meant by this is usually this is done 3x3. So if I'm here, there will be an additional ball right here. Okay. All right. So this is this phase. Oh, that's the flying scarab. Extremely hard to see when you don't have the 3x3 on. All right, that went by pretty quickly. So now we are going to turn off prayer, and we are going to take care of these scarabs so she doesn't heal up. I can't reach that one. See how I'm just like naturally dodging? Run, dodge. Alright, this is harder when you're solo to get all of them, but you just gotta do the best that you can. So she didn't get up to full. Alright. I don't feel like dealing with poison damage. Oh wait, I need to move. Here, I'm gonna go over here. Oh, I don't have enough spec. Dang it. Alright, these are the eggs. Alright, big egg. Big egg. So I have more eggs on. Usually there's only 3. And after her second attack, it's going to break. So I'm going to try to kill this one really quickly, maybe. This is wasting time, but that was worth it for me. So now I really want to get over here for melee trap 2, but I'm not going to make it. Damn it. Alright, the melee's still going to be trapped, but now I accidentally trapped the mage one. So I'm going to have to range it, so don't do that. What you want to do is you can leave that bug alone, that scarab alone, unlike me, and you can, so that way you're over there for the melee trap. Yeah, don't do like me. So this should be here. I should be able to melee this, and then he should be stuck over there. But anyways, this is the hand that we're dealt. Alright, that's dead. Now, I'm just going to kill this because the shield's almost all the way up. So, I'm focusing on him. Alright, I screwed up. It happens. Trust me, stuff happens in ToA. Alright, so now I'm putting on my melee gear. And we're going to... This is quote-unquote phase 3. Alright. Now, if you want a really easy way of dodging these, you can do it like that. Also, when I use this, when I use the yellow one on the eggs, it heals me, but it drains prayer. So just be mindful of that. Now there's one over there, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's not going to do that much damage. Alright? So if you want to dodge those easily, that's what I'll show you the stepping pattern. So, alright. So here, simple. You should never get hit by it this way. Alright, went to 0. Now this is the last phase. I don't really need prayer anymore, so I'm going to do this. And not worry about anything else. Alright, that's Kefri. Pretty simple. Alright, so after every 2 rooms, you get a supply drop. You always want to go power for Akka because you need these smelling salts. Smelling salts are the same as like overload. So it'll boost everything up to 25, and then liquid adrenaline makes your special attacks use less special attack energy. So if you're using let's say you're using a Fang, right? If you're using Fang, that means that instead of it costing 25, it'll cost like 17. No, way less than that, like 12. Or yeah, 12, 13 and a half, whatever. There's no halves in special attack. But anyway, so you're going to grab this. It's going to give you the supplies, and bada bing, bada boom. I don't really. Okay, so I don't need heart anymore, so I'm gonna put it in the deposit pot. And I'll keep the super restore. Yeah, I do need everything else. All right, so we're about to go into Akka. I'm gonna quit my mage gear because you need to mage Akka first. I'll put this here. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, I think that's okay. Yeah, that should be okay. Here, I'll put this down here though. All right, that works for me. All right, let's go into the Path of Het. Fortunately for us, this puzzle is extremely easy. I've already deposited my pickaxe. You're gonna want to put your best pickaxe in here, and how quickly this goes depends on how high your mining level is. And I know this video is long. We're 46 minutes in, but I'm explaining every mechanic of uh, the basics, basically. All right, so I'll explain this while doing it because it is brain dead. All right, so you need to line up the mirrors so that the beam from this hits this. That'll allow you to mine this, okay? So you're going to need inventory slots. So usually what I end up doing in Duo Plus is I'll come over here, I'll drop my shit, I'll grab my pickaxe, and then I'll pick up these mirrors. Now, with a ToA plugin, it tells you exactly where to put the mirrors. So, like I said, this is brainless. Once it is not red anymore, it is facing the right direction. So now I need to go find the other mirror, and I need to place it here. All right, there's 3 mirrors. They are just about always in the same spot. One's here, one's here, one's there. The other ones, you cannot move them. However, sometimes in Duo Plus, I think maybe Trio Plus, they need to be cleaned. So, for example, sometimes you would have to clean that one or whatever. You don't need to clean them unless you're using them. Okay. All right. Um. So, since time doesn't mean anything, I'm gonna show you a method real quick. I'm gonna push that mirror in a second. I know it's not ready yet. All right. So, when you are waiting to hit this, when all the mirrors are lined up and this turns green, you need to be 1 tick away from this so you can 1 tick it, and you should only have to do this once, but it also depends on your mining level. I think you need to get mining up to 82 or 87 or something like that. I'll put it on the screen to do this in one go as a solo. All right, in Duo Plus, it just depends if everyone 1 ticks this and how high their mining levels are. It also depends on the pickaxe you use. You can also put the pickaxe in the raid before the raid gets started, and I'll show you where that is. All right. So this is pretty simple. You're just dodging these black orbs, and you also don't want to get hit by this beam because it can hurt you as well. All right. That's pretty much this puzzle room. It is absolutely brainless. So we're going to go here. We're going to Oh, we're not going to. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm an idiot. All right, now we're going to do things how you're supposed to. All right, 1 ticked it. My mining's pretty high, so I should down this pretty quickly. Basically, ToA is kind of like the quicker you do things, the better it is. But I'm explaining, so that's why we're already 26 minutes in and we haven't started Akka. So you can deposit your pickaxe here or up here before you go into the next room. I'm going to pick up all my shit. I'm going to salt up. Before I salt up, I'm going to explain Akka, though. God, explaining Akka is going to take forever. Oh, that's okay, though. It is okay. Alrighty. So what we're not going to do, I'm going to butterfly. You are not going to butterfly because you are learning. Okie dokie. Now, Akka is much simpler than Akka used to be. Alright? So, here we go. All right, I'm going to talk about when you go, what to do when you first go in there, and then I'm going to talk about how the rest of it goes, okay? So Akka has basically Akka only has three phases. The beginning phase, where all you're doing is attacking him and running away from him so he doesn't swing on you or your teammates. All right? After you do enough damage to him or after enough time has passes, he will spawn four shadows around the room. You need to pick an area where to start, and you need to start attacking that shadow as soon as possible because you are on a timer. Okay? You are on a timer. You need to attack the shadow as soon as possible. Do not attack it with melee. You should either be using a shadow or equipping your range stuff and using a blowpipe. The quickest you kill the shadow, the better. After the shadow is dead, then you can go back to attacking Akka. Alright? Now, sometimes you don't kill the shadow before Akka disappears for his memory attack. His memory attack will be he'll disappear, and these lights will show up, and that's what these tile markers are for. Based on the order of these lights is where you're going to stand. So wherever the first light is, I'm automatically running there as soon as possible. So if it's yellow, I'm going into this yellow corridor. All right, this yellow corridor is marked by this compass. All right, so that is not part of the yellow corridor, none of these three. So when this happens, all the other three, the entire ground is going to get hit with an attack except for the yellow side. Then whatever the very next color is, you need to go over there after you hear this sound. All right? And it's a sound, so just trust me. All right, so the room's at 0, so there's only going to be 4. Once the room gets up to 2, there will be 5. So you have to memorize 5 lights. All right? So the only thing you're doing is you're getting to the safe spot. All right, and these are the 4 safe spots. All right, so that's what we call his memory special. After his memory special is over, he's gonna spawn back in, and you either need to finish killing the shadow you didn't kill, or you attack him until that shadow respawns, and then you move on to the next quadrant. So after you kill a shadow, you move on to the next one. So I like to go counterclockwise. So if I'm starting in this top right, the next one I'm going to go to is this one. If I'm starting, I usually start in one of these two corridors just every time. It just makes life simple. All right, so just go in a clockwise pattern and keep it easy for yourself. Okay? So Akka, whatever Akka is praying is what he will attack you with. So you need to pray from melee right now. After I think it's after 7 or 8, he hits you 7 or 8 times. Or after a certain amount of time passes, he will change to his next protection prayer, which is range. So then you'll need to pray from range, but you can't attack him with range. So if you have something like a shadow or a trident or a sang, you don't even have to change attack styles. You can just keep hitting with him with mage until he changes again. Then he's going to protect from mage and hit you with mage, and that's when you can either melee or range him. I'm so used to ranging him on his third switch that I never melee him on his third switch. So that's just kind of how it goes. So it's melee, range, mage every single time unless you turn on a specific invocation where it's at random. All right. So I'm going to be butterflying because I have shadow. And what butterfly means is after I quote unquote set it up, I'm gonna be attacking here, and I'm gonna be running in a diamond pattern, and I'm only gonna attack on the attack tiles, and he should not be able to hit me. All right, this is really good because you can do damage without using supplies. All right, so that's kind of how Akka's 1 and 2 phase. I mean, phase 1 isn't really a thing. You just run from him and attack him until he's ready to play ball, basically. All right, his last phase, after you get his health all the way down to 0, he's going to become one of the shadows, and you're gonna have to go and attack him with melee only. All right, Void Waker specs do not work on him in this phase, so do not use them. I don't use any sort of specials on him. I save my special for emergency for when I need to Karis Partisan. Okay, so during this phase, you're going to have to be dodging these white orbs, and you're going to need to attack him 3 times. After you attack him 3 times, he's going to move to one of his other shadows locations. Alright? After you get him down, he's down for the count. You just have to dodge the orbs and get his health down. It sounds simple, but sometimes it can get complicated, and you get the more people you have in the room, the more orbs there are. Okay? Now, to go backwards a little bit, when you're doing the main Akka fight, you can tell which shadow to attack based on the color of the shadow. So if they're all white, then you need to pick one to attack, and then you attack the dark one. All right, so I'll show you what that looks like and what that means. I think I've gone over everything. Oh no, I haven't. Um, while you're attacking him or his shadows, you can turn black, and what that when everybody's character turns black, you have to stand still. If you end up moving, it'll spawn orbs under you, and those orbs do a ton of damage. I think the more invocations there are, the more potent those are. And then when you're in Duo Plus, this doesn't happen in singles, but when you're in Duo Plus, there's something called turning yellow or turning white. So that's when you all three of you turn light. You either all need to DD or you all need to be very far apart, because what'll happen is everyone gets not hit, but everyone there's like a cross attack in the cardinal directions. Um, and it's easier to DD because you don't have to worry about it. But if you're not far enough apart, you'll get hit for a ton of damage. So those are kind of like two things that happen while you're attacking him. All right. So let's go ahead and get to it, because I've already done enough explaining. And I like to explain and then show, because just listening to an explanation and not seeing anything would be rough for everyone involved. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna end up butterflying him, like not right away, but after a little bit. If I were you, I would go ahead and put on protect. I'm gonna put on protect from melee, just because he can close the gap on you pretty easily. All right, so see how all these are black? I'm gonna attack this one. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be shadowing here. Sorry, I forgot. Anyways, you kill the shadow. After you kill the shadow, you can kill him until he disappears. See how hard? All right, see how this one's light and the others are black? That means I can go and attack any of them. All right, so I'm gonna go and attack this one. I'm still supposed to technically shadow, but now I don't need to, because he's gonna attack me with a range attack. And see how I'm black? That spawned an orb. Luckily, I didn't run into it. So this is the timer, and this is why it's really important to kill the shadow very fast. Otherwise, you'll get a ground attack that's unavoidable. Alright, so I'm moving over here, because those two are done. He should disappear. Alright, this is memory. So yellow, black, yellow. And see how I did it after I heard the sound? That's how it should go. Alright. A lot of people like to do the slow one, but I don't. I'm actually gonna melee him here. Alright. I like to start people off with the fast one, because it's free points, and the slow one is just so damn slow that it's annoying to even deal with. So, alright. Now we're going to go back to... I'm black right now, so I'm not really going to try to move too much. If you move 3 ticks... it shouldn't hit you, but I would still just not try to move. Now, I can attack him again. So I'm going to set up a butterfly. I'm going to let him... Yeah, get close. Alright. So, Akka has no health because this raid is so easy. So that's why this looks really quick. But I mean, it's quick because none of the health modifiers are on, and I'm trying to start you off on more things that happen, but less time. Like it doesn't take as long because they don't have that much health, and you can do this with like Blood Moon and stuff like that. So don't get discouraged. Like he only had 640 health. Anybody can do that with Blood Moon or better gear. Okay. All right, now we're moving on to Bobbers, the last room before the Wardens. And while we are, I know I'm an hour in, but I'm trying. I'm really trying hard to explain this. Okay, Monkey Room is so annoying since they changed it. So I changed into a hybrid setup. All right, so it's gonna look like this. I changed into something like this because I just want to change my weapons, and you're gonna use blowpipe a lot, so that's why I have the quiver on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this started. This is self-explanatory, so I don't really feel like explaining everything. But when you're in a group, and let's say you're not in a Discord call or something, you need to call out whatever the special is. All right, so if I was in a group, I would call out vents, and I would use the potion on the vents. All right, I'm gonna protect from melee here because red and small blues hit you with melee attacks. Alright? The volatile baboon explodes, but I'm actually going to get him to explode right here so I don't have to worry about these. And I'm going to run out of the range. Alright, I didn't get them all, and that's okay. Alright, these are your majors that you need to range. So it's kind of like a combat triangle kind of thing. Alright, so I would call out pillars here. That's what the hammer is for. Anytime I have baboon throwers, I'm protecting from range because they do a lot of damage. All right, these are your acid ones, which is why I have them highlighted. Oh my god, I suck. I'm gonna Karis Partisan because I don't feel like being venomed. All right, so I would call out vent again. When you're in Duo Plus, what happens is after like 3, you change to whoever only one person can see it. So no, just a pesto thing. If you don't get to this in enough time, it damages everyone. So I really need an exploding one. All right, this is another good reason why Ancients is good here. I'm gonna explain how it got this way. One, I'm distracted. Two, these baboon shamans spawn all these little ones, so you need to kill them first. My second priority is these curse baboons because if you don't have the Karis Partisan, then anti then like you don't need to bring an anti venom. You just don't step on what they're spawning. But I kill them quickly because they're so freaking annoying. Please tell me there's an exploding one. There's not. Luckily this is on the server, so that doesn't matter. Ew, where's my things right here? I'm okay. All right, there's an exploding one. I'm literally gonna stand in the middle of these hoes. Okay, that helped a little bit. All right, pillars again. When you are in duo pluses, you're gonna have DD, and when you need to, so what'll happen is someone or multiple people will light up, and you'll want to pick a spot where you DD, and then you pour it on them, and that's it. All right, pretty simple. Now I just need to get rid of all these. So the red ones you mage, the little annoying ones right here, you can do whatever to. I just blow pipe them. If I had ancients, I would use blood or ice here. So I'm just gonna blow pipe all of them. It wouldn't have gotten this way if I wouldn't have been explaining and stuff, but I didn't feel like waiting to explain. But anyways, it's pretty straightforward. If you see a pillar, go repair the pillar. If you see the pillar light up, repair the pillar. If you see the vent line up, do the vent. When you're in duos, duo pluses, one person can see what I'm seeing right now, and y'all just have to communicate. Now, if one of them dies, you need to do it twice. So let's say I was with a partner, my partner died, and it was vents. I would need to do vents twice. All right. Hopefully that was a good enough explanation. I hate Monkey Room just because it's so tedious. If you do it better than me, it goes quicker and it's less of a disaster. It also makes um ancients more valuable, bringing ancients. So I'm just getting to full health before old Baba, and I'll explain all the Baba mechanics. Now the Baba mechanics I don't mind explaining. It's just the Monkey Room is just so freaking annoying. But anyways, I digress. So anywho, I don't know. Wait, yeah, I like my brews over here. Okay. Um, I'm just gonna take out a salt because that's the only thing I'll need. All right, so this is the gap for mine the gap. I don't remember if mine the gap's on, but I'm gonna mine the gap anyways. All right. So after Baba gets below 60, it's either I think it's 66. As soon as he gets under 66% health, he's going to jump up here, kick everyone to the bottom, and then spawn boulders. All right? You do not want to be within these, what is this? One, two, three. These four tiles when that happens. So you need to be very mindful of his health. All right? So you're going to be attacking Baba mostly over here and over here. All right? You need to always, always, always be praying melee against Baba. And you're going to want to be meleeing him the entire time. All right, pretty simple. Now let's explain some of the things that go on. Baba has a special attack, and I guess the invocations call it ground pound. Ground pound forms like almost like a not like a diamond, but like low key, it's kind of like a filled up swastika almost. Anyways, so when you have so I have one of the invocations on that makes that attack bigger, but it's really easy to avoid. The smaller one's kind of hard for me to see. But you can tell he's about to do it because he's not attacking you, and he kind of like straightens up. So you just run away until it spawns, and then you go back to attacking him, and you can see the area that it'll be in. All right. Another thing that he does, he drops rocks on top of you, boulders, and you just move out of the way. You can tell when they're coming because you can hear that sound cue, and it sounds like a whistle. Um, he also drops rocks that have health bars. Now, those rocks are for when he throws a boulder at you, and you need to be on top of that rock. Otherwise, you're going to get hit near death damage if you're not up to full. When you're in Duo Plus, usually there's a rock that'll have half health and a rock that has full health. The rock that has full health, two people should go to that rock, and one person should go to the half health rock if you're in three or more. And then if you're four, I think they both spawn with full health, and two of you need to go to one, and two of you need to go to another. All right, so that takes a little bit of coordination, but it is not too complicated. If you cannot make it to a rock in time, you can make it to one of the sarcophagi in the room. There are 8 of them. All right, if you stand on top of a sarcophagi because you're not near a rock, you should not take. It used to be you would take like 7 damage or half, but you don't. I don't think you take any damage anymore. All right, so that is an option if you cannot make it to a rock in time. All right. Sometimes he spawns little monkeys. They can now be hit for full HP no matter what weapon you're using. We have the invocation on that when they die, they spawn a banana. A banana will make you um, you can't move or do anything for like 4 seconds, so just be mindful where the bananas are on the ground. If you don't kill the monkeys, they'll attack these sarcophagi, so then you can't use them anymore, and they shoot out uh like blood missiles sort of to an area, and that'll do damage to you. Okay? So just be mindful of that. After you use the sarcophagi, if for his throwing boulder, I don't think you can use it anymore. So be mindful of that as well. Now, he only goes up here twice and does his boulder special um under 66% and under 33%. All right? When that happens, when you get hit to this bottom, the first thing you should do is pray your highest range pray. Then you should switch to your range gear fully, and that blowpipe is king here because you can one hit it with amethyst darts plus. And then if you don't have a blowpipe, you need like a dragon crossbow You need to have rigor, and you should be able to one hit them. It'll just be a little slower. All right. When you're hitting them, you need to stand where that one breaks, so that way you don't get hit by the boulders. If you get hit by the boulders, it'll knock you down and do a lot of damage. And if you get hit by a boulder down here, it'll knock you into the gap, and then you're dead. All right. So avoid gaps, hit the boulders, kill Baba. Make sure you get to the rocks in time. I think that's just about everything. All right. So let's put it to practice. I'm gonna do one Void Waker special. All right, so he already dropped boulders, so I'm moving back. All right, so here are my boulders. All right, he's straight. So that's what I meant by like he straightened up. All right, so I'm good from the gap here, and I'm all right. Cool. So I would have had to have stayed right there for that boulder since I killed him too quickly. I didn't have to, but anyways. All right, so boulder. If you do this quick enough, you can skip. You can do what's called boulder skipping, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is boulder skipping. All right, and we're gonna take advantage of this. I wouldn't boulder skip until you're used to the raise. So don't boulder skip. So we're gonna sit here. We're gonna attack him because he's kind of stuck doing that right now. This is really good for us. All right, now we're gonna pray here. He's gonna attack me. He's doing. Oh, just kidding. He's doing that. I thought he was doing the slam attack. I'm doing a lot of damage to him because I'm in max gear and this is only a 150. But it won't be this quick for you unless you have max gear and you just haven't done ToA. You don't know how to do it. All right, so we're gonna boulder skip again. Pretty easy. Look at that. All right. I'm gonna elect to mage him here. If you attack him with melee, he will stop doing the boulders. You do want to attack him with melee. If your entire party doesn't boulder skip, because they'll have to keep doing this, and the boulders are more than one hit when you're in Duo Plus. When you're in Duo Plus both, you need to hit the boulders. Alright? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish him up here. There's the monkeys. I'm going to ignore them because I'm going to kill him so fast that it doesn't matter. Alright? Cool. Easy does it. I'm gonna follow up this video with an like a full 300 video, just so you can see these mechanics more like fleshed out. And I'm not really gonna do any talking. I'm gonna just try to do everything as fast as I can. Now that you're done with the fourth puzzle, you're gonna get Helpful Spirit. You always want to choose this one because Ambrosia will put you at 125 HP and 125 prayer. These are restores, bruise, and this Blessed Crystal Scarab is kind of like prayer regen over time. So it's really nice, and I'll show you when to use it. All right, so I'm getting my gear straight. I'm gonna actually put up all of my stuff because I don't want to use it. So this video is gonna be a little long. I'm already at an hour and 12 minutes, and now I have to explain all the warden mechanics. All right, so the first, I can go in here and explain, so it's not a problem. Alrighty. All right, let me explain what these are first, real quick. So this is for after this obelisk is dead. You're gonna stand here because this warden is gonna come out and attack you. He only attacks mostly with range and mage. If you get too close to him, he will melee you. This one attacks with all three, which is why you want to do this one. Now, in order to get this one, you need to tank over here, so that way this one spawns. If you don't, you could accidentally end up getting this one, and this one sucks. This one is much better. All right, so you stand here because you're going to be using these two tiles a lot. And I'll explain what that looks like when it's happening. But basically what happens is the obelisk, after you quote unquote defeat it, the obelisk has three specials. There's pinwheel, where a pinwheel goes around the entire room. There's skulls, red skulls. And then there's kind of like this wave, like I don't know how to explain what it is. But this wave slash like lights come out of the ground, and you can dodge it using these two. All right. And if you don't want to stand on top of someone, you could stand here and do the same thing. Okay. So let me explain what those look like first, and then I'll explain this first phase. So when pinwheel is happening, you're going to want to attack the warden, and you're going to stand here until the pinwheel gets here, and then after the pinwheel is showing right here, you'll go down here, continue attacking the warden. Once it moves upward, you will come back to right here. All right. And I don't remember if you have to do it once or twice, but that's pretty much pinwheel. The same thing for when what'll happen for the next special is it'll shoot like a line right here, and then beams will come up out of the ground from both directions, and you'll just go here, and then you'll come back. Now for red skulls are complicated because when a red skull shoots out and hits the ground, it explodes in like a, I don't know if it's 3 by 5. It's pretty big. So you have two options. You either get far enough away from the skull that hits the ground that it doesn't hit you, or you get close enough to the skull in one of the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, or west, within 2 tiles, and it won't hit you. I like going closer to the skulls because it's a lot easier to dodge, so I'll get 1 to 2 tiles of a skull so it doesn't hurt me. All right. A lot of people get screwed up on the skulls, so hopefully when you visually see it, it's easier for you to see and it doesn't bother you. That, like, you can dodge it easier. It's not the end of the world, but once you turn on a specific invocation, I believe it turns off your prayer and it hits you for more damage. I don't know if it'll turn off my prayer during this, but I guess we'll just have to find out. All right. So, and then during that first phase, you're going to be attacking him with range. Once you get his shield all the way full, you need to immediately switch to your melee gear and equip your DDS, and you're going to be DDSing this core that falls to the ground. All right. Once right before the core hits the ground, or right before his shield is full, you need to drink your liquid adrenaline so your DDS spec lasts longer, and make sure your light bearer is on so that way your regen comes up faster. So this liquid adrenaline is very important because it helps you down the core faster. You want to down the core in 2 to 3 downs. Okay? So I'm getting my prayer scarabs out. I'm gonna get a couple of these out as well. And actually I'm gonna put my prayer scarabs up because I actually don't need them right now. Alright, so I'm gonna get out um something like this, and then I'm gonna drop this right here so I have a space. All right. So let me explain. So I just explained mostly how second phase works. Basically, what'll happen is, um, after the obelisk goes down, you'll need to kill the warden. I'm not done explaining. I just realized. So he has two main attacks, but there's also some random special attacks. Okay. Walk with me here. I'm doing the best I can because there's so much, but like you just get so used to it, you don't even think of it. So when he shoots a red ball at you, you're gonna immediately pray mage. When he throws a rock at you, you're going to pray from range. All right, and the animations are very different, so you should be able to tell. If not, you'll be able to tell what's coming at you, and you just need to put it up just in enough time for right when it hits you. All right, those are his two main attacks. Now, randomly, he will hit you with a special attack, and these also have sound cues. All of the quote unquote specials that I'm about to talk about have sound cues. If you see a red sword coming at you, you need to protect from melee. And also these turn off your prayer. Okay? So if you hear, and all three of these have a unique sound. Okay? If you see a red sword coming at you, protect from melee. If you see a white long arrow, protect from range. And if you see a blue ball, protect from mage. All three of them have sounds. It'll turn your prayer off, so you need to quickly pray the correct thing, and then he'll go back to hitting you with his normal attacks. All right? That should cover everything. Now, I will say, once you get to downing him for a third time, he will shoot out kind of like a sticky black thing, and it also is a sound cue. If you move 1 tile over, it won't hit you. If it does hit you, you will be frozen in place. It is not the worst thing in the world because you are able to eat and change your prayer, but if you have something like Pinwheel or the other special that is ground oriented, it could really mess you up. All right, so that's pretty much all the attacks for after this obelisk phase. All right, I unfortunately I have to explain all the phases right here because there's no slowing down after this. All right, now obelisk phase is pretty straightforward. If you're in duos, one person's going to tank, the other person's going to stand around here and attack the obelisk. It is you you should either blow pipe the obelisk in your maxed range gear. You should shadow the obelisk if you have a shadow, and then melee. All right, so you don't really want to T-bow it because T-bow's slow. I think blow pipe is the best damage you can get when you're ranging. All right, so you're one person's going to be tanking up until they're like 75 to 72 health right here, because these orbs will charge them. All right, and I'll explain what the charging does. After you're about 75, you're going to go to right here, and then red discos will appear all throughout the room. You just need to stand in a spot where you can attack the obelisk and the discos don't hit you. This spot right here is perfectly fine. All right, I think this one might also be fine. I don't really remember what this tile is for, to be honest. Now, after the red discos come, you'll get yellow disco. Yellow disco, you need to move right here or the opposite, so that way the yellow disco doesn't hit you because a yellow disco will fall here. The reason that you stand here and tank is so they don't spawn the discos at the same time, because then there is no safe spots. However, if you both have a shadow, you technically could do a bare minimum tank so you get this warden and then run over here to this and shadow it from here, and you don't have to worry about the discos at all. All right, so that is an option, but we're not going to be doing that today. Okay, so that is how that works. When these charge up, they do two different. They each do one attack, which equals two attacks. The first one is going to be a ball that's going to hit you, and you need to be spread apart like two tiles from your teammates if you have any. The second one, you all need to DD right here so that way you take minimal damage. All right, the first one is going to hit you for like 20 plus damage no matter what you do, no matter if you're in solos, duos, or eights. All right, the second one, in solos, it's going to hit the crap out of you no matter what. In duos, as long as you DD, it's not going to hit you that hard. All right, so that's why ambrosia is important. I'm not going to use ambrosia here, but I encourage you to use ambrosia. Otherwise, you're gonna. I mean, you don't have to use ambrosia. It would just be easier for you to use one of the ambrosia sips because then you have 3 left. All right. I would keep an ambrosia out because this phase it can get chaotic later on. But I think I'll have to show that in the next video because I think this is going to be too easy and I won't need ambrosia here. But most of the time when I use ambrosia, it's actually on the second part of Warden, so P2. All right. So P1 is really tank obelisk, kill obelisk. First ball that falls, separate from teammates. Second ball that falls, DD on teammates. Once that's done, you're going to equip your best mage. You're going to stand on this, and then you're going to attack this warden. All right. After his core drops down the first time, you'll switch to your range gear, attack the warden again until he drops another core. Then you hit that core. If it goes to a third time, you're going to go back to mage, and you're going to attack him until the third core drops. And then after the third core drops, then you'll go to Warden's P4. I'm going to explain Warden's P4 while I'm doing it because it's much easier to explain it then, and I don't want you to forget all this information here. Okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with this. So I am... How many liquid adrenaline do I have? Okay. Don't do what I'm about to do. So I'm going to sip this adrenaline early, but that's because I'm going to Void Waker this. All right? Don't do this. Just what I want you to do is you're going to go over here and tank, and you're going to use your best weapon to get it down. Okay? Capiche? Capiche. All right, time to tank. Alright, so we're still tanking. I'm switching to my mage gear. Alright, we're done tanking for right now. We're going to stand here. I'm going to equip this back on. So charges. Alright, this is red disco. Yellow disco. You can tank more if you don't want it to be as quick. Alright, this would be the first ball, but honestly I killed it so fast with the first ball. So yeah, that's first ball. It's not going to hit me because I already killed it. But that's why I want to do another one where I run like a 300 and you can see everything that happens. Alright? Alright, so we're getting his shield up. So see what I mean by how he like shoots the red and he throws the rock? So that's just what the prayer changes are. Alright, here's the first special. What is it? Alright, this is Pinwheel. Alright, Pinwheel, we're chilling. Alright. Didn't get much of Pinwheel, so now we are going to... I'm doing this slow because I'm talking and not reacting. So you can hit... If you do it tick perfect, you can hit it 5 times. If not, the safest bet is hit it 4 times and then melee it once. And then, yeah. Because sometimes your attack won't register. Alright, so now we're going to range him. I'm going to heal up a little bit, just to be safe. Alright, that's me. Alright, see how that was a red sword and you heard a different sound? That's what I mean when I'm talking about that stuff. Alright, so now we've got skulls and he threw a rock at me. That skull, don't have to worry about it. This skull, I'm going to go ahead and get 1 tick. Boom. See? Pretty chill. While I understand it's easy for me, it might not be as easy for you, but that's the gist of it. It's gonna take practice. You're not gonna get good at something until you've practiced it and failed it a couple times, okay? You can hit him like a bunch of times here. I'm not gonna down him because I want more power. Alright, so now we go back to mage. He's gonna throw a rocket, protect you from range, shooting. Alright, that's the black thing I was talking about where it'll freeze you in place. Okay. Range. Alright, he's dead. Don't even know what the special is gonna be. Alright, I don't need to rush for anything right here. I'm actually gonna heal up a little bit. Okay. Anyway. Alright, he's done. So now we're switching. So, depending on whether or not you have both those shadows, you're switching to either mage or ranger, not melee space. Alright, so he is going to pound the ground, or he's going to lift up the ground in a pattern that is like this every single time, unless you change to insanity. Alright? So this is how this warden goes. It's very easy. It is just the same pattern over and over. It's right, left, middle. Depending on your attack weapon, that'll be how fast you can attack him. Alright? So, he drops these skulls. We're going to hit them all as quickly as possible. Alright, they're going to damage him. And then we're going to get back to our attack pattern. I'm going to put this on. I'm already salted. We're good. Alright. When he does skulls again, there's going to be more skulls, and then he's going to spawn Zebak over here. Now, if you remember, Zebak has sound cues for his attacks. Alright? So what that means is I'm listening for the sound for what I need to pray against. Alright, so that's mage sound. Right? It's hard to see. You really gotta listen. That's why sound cues are extremely important in RuneScape. Okay? So a lot's going on, but I have faith that you can do it. Alright? That's range. And you can always look. If you want to scroll out and look at what you're doing, you can look. Also, these skulls are 1 tick no matter what weapon you're using. Alright? Now he spawned Baba. Baba is going to be dropping a boulder every couple of seconds. So you're going to have to be paying attention to what Zebak's doing, what order you're in, and Baba's rocks. Luckily for Baba's rocks, you should be moving at the same speed that the warden is attacking. The rocks should never hit you. For Zebak, you really just need to listen to what attack is coming. Alright, for here, you're just praying and you're 1 ticking moves. Alright, this is all one tip. Alright, so now I'm back on the right side. I'm going to walk a couple tiles forward. Normally I would have my scarab out, but alright, so this is in rage phase. So after you get him to a certain amount of health, and lightning is going to come from the floor, and so you have to worry about boulders, lightning, and Zebak's attack. So that's why it's important. I don't need any because this is easy for me. One of the best things I can recommend is to walk in a pattern based off of the weapon you're using to kill the wounded. The shadow user, it's an L. So you can either so like I attack like this. I'll attack L, attack L, attack L. All right, now I can talk about the lightning real quick. Um, the way the lightning works is you'll see it pop up on the floor, and lightning cannot strike twice in the same place, like back to back. So let's say I do an attack and I go to L, right? And I'm about to attack again, and I need to move from the falling boulder. And there's lightning close by. I'm gonna try to go to either an empty space where there's no lightning, or where lightning just hit. All right, so that's how the lightning works. And then the longer this goes, the less room you're going to have to work with. So that's why it's important to use your best DPS weapon. So if you're using Bofa and that stuff, you'll be using that the whole time. If you're using T-Bow because you don't have a shadow, you'll be using you'll be using T-Bow the whole time. And then if you have shadow, you'll be using shadow the whole time. All right. So those are kind of like the basics, and I'm gonna do a follow-up video of a 300. I'm gonna put the link in the description. That'd be funny as hell if we got a purple. I'm gonna put the link in the description because I want you to see like how everything happens, like in a faster and longer. It would just be easier. So I'm gonna record that after this, and then I would encourage you to watch both. This is long, hour and 30 minutes, but again, I'm explaining all the basic mechanics of every room. So if you're here, thanks for watching. Um, I got 62K for explaining a raid. That's really funny. But anyways, just put it in my inventory for right now. All right. Hopefully I did a good job of explaining everything. If you have any questions, if you want to run ToA with me, if you need me to run learners with you, just let me know. Okay. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna go record a 300, and then um, I'm gonna post that as a separate video so you can see everything in full motion. So all right. Thanks for watching.